In this video, we'll help you understand how to set up and manage relevant contracts tax in Sage Accounting. Relevant contracts tax is often referred to as RCT. RCT is a withholding tax that applies to certain payments by principal contractors to subcontractors in the construction, forestry, and meat processing industries in Ireland. If your business operates in these sectors and engages subcontractors to carry out relevant operations, you may be required to register for RCT with Revenue. Sage Accounting supports RCT features for subcontractors and principal contractors in the construction industry only. These features help you track RCT deductions on your sales and purchase transactions and generate reports for Revenue. If you're unsure if relevant contracts tax applies to you, please check with Revenue. Before you can create RCT-related transactions in Sage Accounting, you must enable RCT in Settings. Once enabled, Sage Accounting will add new RCT control accounts to your chart of accounts. Make RCT options available on customer, supplier, and transaction screens. Enable you to generate RCT-specific reports. Please note, if you're using Accounting Start, only subcontractor functionality is available. If you need to upgrade your accounting, please check our Help Center for guidance. To enable RCT in Sage Accounting, navigate to Settings and click Business Settings. Then, locate Relevant Contracts Tax in the list. To continue with the setup, click Start. Now you must choose your contractor type. You can choose to enable RCT as a principal contractor, a subcontractor, or both. Once you've selected the relevant option for your business, enter your tax reference number, also known as a TRN, and the business name registered for RCT. If you select that you're a subcontractor or both, you will be asked to enter a default deduction rate. However, this is optional and can be amended while entering transactions. Review the information entered, and to activate RCT in your Sage Accounting, click Save. Read the message, and to continue, click Confirm. RCT is now enabled for your business, and your settings have been successfully saved. We'll now show you how to manage customer and supplier records in line with RCT. We'll start with customers. Setting up a customer record as a principal contractor will enable you to create RCT transactions for them, such as sales invoices and credit notes. For the reverse charge to be applied to VAT, the principal contractors must be VAT registered. Their VAT registration number must be entered in the contact record. First, navigate to Contacts and click Customers. Locate the relevant customer, and to open it, click on it within the customer list. In the Options tab, check you've entered their VAT registration number. If this is not entered, click the pencil icon, enter it here, and save your changes. Select the RCT tab. To edit the RCT status, click the pencil icon. Select this checkbox, and to save these settings, click Save. The RCT tab will also appear when you set up new customer records. Let's move on to supplier records. To mark a supplier as a subcontractor for RCT, navigate to the relevant supplier in the list. Enabling RCT in a supplier record will flag them as a subcontractor and enable you to create RCT transactions for this contact. Within the supplier contact record, select the RCT tab, then click the pencil icon. Select the checkbox here. You can choose a default deduction rate from the drop-down menu. Once you're happy with the settings, click Save. Create RCT sales transactions. To get started, create a sales invoice as usual. When entering a sales invoice for a customer already set up as a principal contractor, this checkbox appears. This message appears to let you know reverse charge VAT rules apply. If this invoice is not an RCT invoice, clear the checkbox. If the RCT checkbox is selected, and is relevant for this invoice, enter the site number here. Complete the invoice item lines as usual. When you're ready, save the invoice. When printing or emailing the invoice, this message appears on the invoice automatically. The RCT deduction rate and the RCT withheld is captured when you record the payment against the invoice. For the purposes of this demonstration, we'll record the payment within the invoice using the Record Payment option. Enter the amount received and use the drop-down menu to select the correct RCT deduction rate. The RCT withheld is shown in this box. Complete the details of the receipt, and then click here to save the transaction. When creating a credit note, the RCT checkbox will appear if you have chosen a principal contractor. Follow the same process as you would for creating an invoice. Complete the credit note, then, when recording the refund, you can choose the RCT deduction rate and the RCT withheld. To finalize the refund, click here. Create purchase transactions. To start, from your purchase invoice list, click New Invoice. When entering a purchase invoice for a supplier who is already set up as a subcontractor, this checkbox appears. This message appears to let you know this is an RCT invoice and to select the relevant VAT rate to apply the reverse charge. If this is not an RCT invoice, clear this checkbox. If the RCT checkbox is selected and is relevant for this invoice, enter the site number here. Complete the invoice item lines as usual, ensuring you use the VAT rate drop-down to select the correct rate for the reverse charge. When you're ready, save the invoice. The RCT deduction rate and the RCT withheld is captured when you record the payment against the invoice. For the purposes of this demonstration, we'll record the payment within the invoice using the Record Payment option. Enter the amount paid and use the drop-down menu to select the correct RCT deduction rate. The RCT withheld is shown in this box. Complete the details of the payment and then click here to save the transaction. When creating a credit note, the RCT checkbox will appear if you have chosen a subcontractor. Follow the same process as you would for creating an invoice. Complete the credit note. Then, when recording the refund, you can choose the RCT deduction rate and the RCT withheld. To finalize the refund, click here. Payments on account. When creating a payment or receipt which is not allocated to an invoice immediately, this is known as a payment on account. We'll start with the customer receipt. In the banking area, use this drop-down and choose Sale, Receipt, and make sure this tab is selected. Complete the information at the top of the receipt, as usual. If the customer chosen is a principal contractor, the checkbox for withholding RCT is automatically selected. Clear the checkbox if this receipt is not going to be allocated to an RCT invoice, or if no RCT has been deducted from the payment. Using the drop-down, select the deduction rate. Once the information has been entered, check you are happy with the values, then click Save. As this is not being allocated to an invoice, you are asked to confirm the RCT withheld. Check this value here. This is based on the receipt amount and the deduction rate. Edit this if necessary. Once happy with the information entered, click Yes. You can then allocate the receipt to applicable invoices within the customer record. This process is the same for payments to subcontractors and allocations on account. When using bank feeds, you can create payments on account for RCT contacts. Simply choose the correct contact and then choose Payment on Account. The RCT deduction rate drop-down appears, and once you have selected the correct rate, the RCT withheld is calculated. Once created, you can manually allocate the payment on account to an invoice within the contact record. At present, you can't match bank fee transactions directly to RCT invoices. If you have already manually recorded the payment against the invoice, you can match the bank fee transaction to the existing bank transaction that was manually entered, or delete it from the list of imported transactions as it is not required. VAT return. Relevant contracts tax transactions are reflected in your VAT return. To view the reverse charge transactions, navigate to Reporting and then click VAT returns. Create and calculate the VAT return for the correct date range and view the detailed report. Once ready, the report will appear in Notifications. Download the report. You can see the reverse charge transactions listed in the relevant boxes of your VAT return. Reporting. There are 2 reports showing relevant contracts tax in the reporting area. Use the reporting drop-down and click More. Scroll down to the relevant contracts tax section. You can run the RCT deduction summary and the RCT deducted from principal contractors reports. Let's look at the RCT deduction summary. This report shows a summary of the RCT deducted from payments made to your subcontractors. To run it, click here. You can produce this report for a specific date range by using the filters at the top. Once you have entered the date range, click Calculate. You can sort the information by payment date, supplier or amount paid by clicking the column heading. The arrow tells you if the information is descending or ascending. You can see the deduction rate, liable amount, RCT deducted, and amount paid. Search for specific information using the search box. The report can be exported to PDF and CSV. Let's move on to the RCT deducted from principal contractors report. This report shows the RCT deducted from the receipts received from your principal contractors. You can produce this report for a specific date range using the filters at the top. Once you have entered the date range, click Calculate. You can sort the information by payment date, customer, or amount received by clicking the column heading. The arrow tells you if the information is descending or ascending. You can see the deduction rate, liable amount, RCT deducted, and amount received. Search for specific information using the search box here. The report can be exported to PDF and CSV. You have now learned how to set up and use the relevant contracts tax feature in Sage Accounting. For more help and guidance, please visit our Help Center.